This is dedicated to all my beautiful queens, all my beautiful ladies out there. She's a queen. Go queen. You got it, girl. She's a queen. You better represent. Go queen. Go queen. Go. She's a queen about her business. Queen. Working hard on a mission. Yeah. Head high, purpose driven. Purpose driven. Crown will never tilted. Queen. Go queen. Go queen. Go queen. Go. Represent. You're a queen. You're a queen. Oh.
So thank you guys for joining another episode of the Q Chat podcast. Today, my special guest is Miss Ericka Nicole Malone. She's a quadruple threat. She's an actress, writer, director, and a producer. She has several great projects coming up, and the first one that we're going to discuss is Remember Me, the Mahalia Jackson Story. So we're going to have a great conversation. So how are you doing today?
I am amazing. Thank you so much for having me on your amazing show.
Thank you so much. So I definitely have a lot of questions that I do want to ask you. So I want to start off first, just to get some of your background first regarding writing. How did you get started? I've watched a few videos and I know you have a great story, but I definitely want you to tell your own story of how you got started writing.
I got started writing when I was around 6 or 7. I started writing poetry. My mother saw that I had a gift at writing. So she just talked to some Black writers in the area. I was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. So she looked for some Black writers, creators, artists, drummers, whoever she could find that she felt could help cultivate my gifts. And she just would take me to them and around them, and she would stay around, but and allow them to kind of pour into me the arts, wisdom, Black history, life, just everything. So I think my mother identifying that really early really helped to really bring me to this point, I think, today.
Were there any particular authors or stories that influenced you as a child when you were writing?
Yeah, I mean, and then when I thought about it, some of the biggest writers of that time, like Alice Walker, Dr. Maya Angelou, there's even a Judy Blume, all of those authors, Beverly Cleary, really spoke to me, and I think resonated probably more so than a lot of friends my age. I used to, Dr. Angelou, I would just sit and just look at her book of poetry and her books, and Toni Morrison, but this was me very young, really kind of taking these people into my spirit and saying, wow, this is, kind of amazing. What they were speaking about there. So I remember one Christmas, just after opening up the presents, just getting just in that I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and just really letting that go into my spirit, and just really understanding the amazing things that Black women go through and how we come out on the other side. It's just, for me, it's just so uplifting. So I think very early, I really had just a yearning for knowledge in terms of writing and reading books. That, when I look back, was probably the first sign that I was a writer.
Now, I know that you've written plays. Were there any specific playwrights that also influenced you? Because I know Black theater is still important, So are there any particular playwrights that really influenced you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm big in the Harlem Renaissance anyway, but Zora Neale Hurston was one of my favorite writers. She was a poet, she was a playwright, but then also Lorraine Hansberry, just amazing writer from that time and playwright. August Wilson, Fences, just these Black writers that kind of set the stage for future writers to come were just pivotal to me, feeling like this could be me. And I guess I auditioned for Youth Performing Arts High School when I was around 13 years old in Louisville, Kentucky. I was a major in theater. and really loved every aspect of theater and being on stage. But my senior year, a teacher by the name of Pat Allison, she was a white teacher, she saw that I had a gift in writing and asked me to stay every day after school. And so that's what I did. I stayed every day after school. My mother would kind of sit in the hot car. We had no air conditioner. And she would wait for me to come out of this class, this playwriting class, where I learned the art of writing scripts. And I think at that time, of course, you know, playwriting and writing screenplays were different. But that was the first time that I really understood the whole concept of creating a world from nothing, and then adding on top of that world characters, and then adding on top of that world the story. And I think I love the aspect of seeing all those moving parts come to life. And I just haven't put the pen down since high school. You know, I love creating worlds. I like when there's scratch, there's nothing, just a blank piece of paper. And when you can create a whole world and you see this kaleidoscope of characters and colors, especially when it's Black, rich stories, it makes me very excited.
With how important is it for you just to depict the Black experience, obviously, you know, to depict us in a certain light, African-American women, to just show our strength? How is it important for you to share our stories? I just feel like our stories, of course, are best told by us. So
I think so too. You know, I always grew up seeing so many amazing, diverse Black women and thinking we were rock stars. I never really had I knew obviously racism existed and it was really tough on us, and I understood the challenges and the plight for the last 300, 400 years, but I always saw it as rock stars. And to me, that even further insisted that we were rock stars, that we were able to get through slavery and the horrible trauma and atrocities that were thrown onto us. And the fact that we were able to climb out of that and become some of the women that we are today. Generationally, we've carried the backbone of our ancestors with us, and we were able to put that history on our backs and understand, as we're raising our children, as you're getting married, as you have the job, to still be the hope and the dream of the slave. As Dr. Angela said, that's powerful. So I think it's imperative that we show Black women in a variety of light, because that's what we are. We're a variety of people. We're not a monolith. All of us think different. I think that's surprising and shocking to people. And I think we have to start respecting when people are different and don't have the same opinion as everyone else, especially Black women. We have a right to believe anything we want to believe. And so, yeah, it's really important to pick those powerful stories, because also the dehumanization of Black life with law enforcement. And, you know, for me, it's a situation where you're not understanding how amazing we are. You're not understanding how amazing Black women are, Black men are, our Black boys are, our Black girls are. So these stories are incredibly important and life-changing, life-saving, because a lot of time life imitates art. A lot of times all of what popular culture or some types of culture will get is what we put on the screen. So think about how important that is. One last thought is Dr. King, he understood the power of television. And that's why he would do those marches and make sure all the cameras were there to see the atrocities, because he knew if people across the country saw the atrocities going on in the South, that there would be change. So, you know, after Dr. King died, I think that over the years, we got away from that. We got away from understanding the power of media. So, you know, you can't just put anything on TV. Our lives are at stake. This is a life or death situation. So for me, just from a very minimalistic standpoint, putting out something like Dreams from the Edge, which is about a Black girl trying to break through Hollywood, shows the humanization of the young Black woman trying to make it through Hollywood, trying to do that while balancing her relationship with her mother, played by Bernadette Stannis, Delma from Good Times, and her mother's broken dreams. So now I'm showing a Black girl trying to make it in Hollywood, her relationship with her mother, i.e. Black Lives Matter. We live lives, we have dreams, we have full lives. So I just think anybody who's picking up a pen, anyone who's doing a video, putting it up on YouTube, anyone putting something on TikTok, if you think about what our ancestors did before us, this responsibility is so huge. think about what you put out before you put it out.
You literally just took my next question, because that's what I wanted to mention. You know, like, do you feel that there's a weight of a responsibility in how we're depicted? You know, because there's a balance. You know, we want our stories to be told, but we also want them told in a positive light, in a way that shows the good parts of, you know, Black life, our value. But then on the flip side, you know, like, transparency, of course, is there. But do you feel like there's a pressure to put stories out, but not to put out any type of images that would, you know, not necessarily portray us in a good light? And then also another thing with Black women, how we're depicted on screen. Sometimes we're depicted in ways where, like, we're suffering, you know. Ways where, like, we're suffering, you know, we're beaten down. Like, how, like, what's the pressure like, you know, obviously as an African American woman in this field, you know, to tell our story and tell it correctly?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfair. It's an unfair burden. That's the thing, but it's still a burden. And, you know, I'm sure people would disagree. You know, I'm just going to tell my story, but I don't think we can do that, because, see, the mantle has been passed down to us. You know, we are the dream and the hope of the slave means that bringing the gifts that our ancestors gave. We didn't have money back then. So what were our gifts? Our gifts were our stories. Our gifts were our traditions. And that was passed down from one generation to the other. So we have to continue to pass down what our grandmothers and our aunties and our great aunties gave to us and pass that down. Yes, we can be fun, we can be live, but there has to be a remnant that understands their responsibility. I'm not saying everybody will understand that responsibility, but if that responsibility then dies, we're in trouble. We have to have a certain set of people who understand the importance of putting positive images of Black life. I do think I agree in terms of, like, the downtrodden, what they call Black pain. You know, people not wanting to see that. They're wanting to see us happy. And I think that's important. I think it's important to see a range of stories about Black life, not just, you know, what they could say, quote unquote, slave movies, you know, but movies about Black love, movies about Black life, movies about us trying to get a job and, you know, hard to find one. Just basic things about Black life is just incredibly important. Anything that humanizes us on a level. But I don't think we can get lost in not seeing the responsibility when our Black children are being gunned down. Especially being from Louisville, Kentucky, and what happened with Breonna Taylor. You know, she's asleep in her bed, wakes up with no clothes, you know, barely any clothes on, and getting gunned down. We don't have the luxury of just having a good time. We have to. It's a call to responsibility in terms of writing stories that people understand we're human. We're here. We're not going anywhere, but we're human. So I think that's important.
Oh yeah, that is a very heavy burden. Speaking of, I want to dive into your works. I know you did mention Dreams from the Edge, but let's talk about the upcoming Mahalia Jackson Story. She hails from Louisiana, my hometown city of New Orleans.
Hey!
And she's obviously a huge staple, and her story has been told a lot recently, which is a great thing. So how did you get involved in this project, and how important was it for you to just put this on screen?
It was really important. I started writing this script back in 2017. A producer told me about this idea, and I started writing the script. And basically, I did the research. It took me several months to do the research. And after I did it and wrote it, it was shopped around Hollywood, and just decided that, you know what, I'm going to put out the version that, you know, was in my spirit the very first day I wrote it, and get it out there. And it's just been amazing in terms of to find the star of I Remember Me, the Mahalia Jackson Story legacy, playing Mahalia, who is, you know, just such a phenomenal talent and has the most beautiful voice. And, you know, just having her rendition of her honor of Mahalia Jackson has just been amazing, as well as Columbus Short playing Dr. Martin Luther King. You know, just plays it in such an eerie way. I mean, it's the closest I probably get to meeting him. Amazing performance. Janet Huber, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, first Aunt Viv, as Mahalia's aunt, who's the stern aunt who kind of leads her down the what they would call Christian road. And Wendy Vaccaro Robinson, Keith David, Keith Robinson, Corbin Bleu as Cab Calloway. There's just so many phenomenal performances. It's hard to name all the way. Vanessa A. Williams, so this cast has been a blessing that they would take the story, bring it to life, and then make something that I wrote just come true in terms of these characters coming alive. It's just been so humbling, to say the least.
That is an amazing cast that you mentioned. Every single one of those people that you mentioned, obviously very amazing. Other things that I saw when I was researching information, you've written stories obviously regarding Mahalia Jackson, also Mamie Till. If you could name, or do you have any thoughts of any other historic, iconic Black women from the past that you would like to put their story on film? Are there any other icons from the past that you have like on a dream list that you would love to put their stories out there?
There's some people on the dream list I won't say because I want to make sure it doesn't get reproduced. But I just finished writing a new biopic, and it's about another amazing Black woman. I'm not at liberty to say it's for a studio, but it's phenomenal. There's just so many Black women and there's also some Black women who may not be famous, but who have done great things. Are also something I like when I'm writing any kind of biopic. What's exciting about a biopic is I'm a Black history buff. So I'm a huge Black history buff. So it makes me feel like I'm sitting across from a coffee table and we're drinking a cup of tea, just talking to that figure, that historical figure. They're telling me about their life and I'm able to write down their thoughts. That's what it feels like when I'm writing the biopics. And I feel like I'm telling them the story that they want to know, that they want people to know. So it's one of my personal, I think, gifts is to bring history come to life because we're such beautiful people. I mean, honestly, beautiful people.
Yes.
And strong people and good people.
Yes.
To bring that kind of myriad of traits together in a script is beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. So there's so many I can't name, but and I'm probably not naming on purpose, but there's so many. Yeah, of course, Michelle Obama too. I mean, could you imagine I'd love to, I know that there's been a story about her in terms of, their Southside with You, I think, which is amazing. Yeah. But I loved her childhood and to talk about, just how she ascended into being first lady. There's a lot of amazing Black women that I'd like to write about.
Well, in the background, I don't know if you can see, I have my canvas of Dorothy Dandridge, who...
Yes, introducing Dorothy Dandridge. Yes.
Yeah. And this is one of my favorites. It says, "I can't play a slave." So
that's right.
That's
right.
And same thing. I used to love watching A&E's biography. And weirdly enough, I would only like to watch it for people that had already passed on, only because I wanted to see like their entire life story, because whenever you watch a biography of someone that's still here, they still have so much left to do 9 times out of 10. But
I agree.
I always have a thing for watching the biographies for the people that have passed on, not in a morbid way, because it was just fascinating to hear their life from point A to Z, like all the things they have gone through, ups and downs. So Dorothy Dandridge is just someone that always sticks out to me when I first learned about her as a teenager, because I'm one of the few people that are like really into the Academy Awards. So when I just learned about the first woman that was nominated for an Oscar, I was like, oh, wow. So I just started to do further research. Her biography was great. And then, of course, introducing Dorothy Dandridge, which is a masterpiece, just to get as much as we could get about her. So she always sticks out when I think about.
She does stick out. I mean, there's been so many amazing biopics we've been blessed to see. What's Love Got to Do with It? Introducing Dorothy Dandridge. I really, really love the way that was written. I really feel like I got to know her as a person off screen. To me, that's the thing, right? Especially if they're performers. I mean, you can see their performances all the time, but to know who they were when no one was looking, it's just powerful to me. The kind of people, the fact that she was a mother. I didn't know that she was a mother and had a special needs child, Dorothy Dandridge, and she was fighting for her daughter. And it was also not being able to be with her every day was part of her, something that deconstructed her or destructed her.
Right.
So it's something beautiful about writing biopics I really enjoy.
Definitely. And they're very inspirational. And it's just things that I feel like we need to see, just to see the people that opened the doors for us and paved the way and went through some struggles that unfortunately aren't necessarily here now. The things that they went through just to get a lot of us to where we are. It's just very amazing and beautiful to see. So I wanted to talk about some of your other projects that you have upcoming. I know we touched on Dreams from the Edge, and obviously we talked about the Mahalia Jackson project. So what about the Della project? Is that
Professionalism is key to me. When I stepped into this industry 6 years ago, I said that I would put my guests as well as my hairstylist first. Being in this industry has caused me to make great revenue, and it has allowed me to live the life that I desire to live. This is Keisla Wheeler, and welcome to Key Salon Coiffeur. Key Salon is a multicultural, upscale, diverse salon. It's a Paul Mitchell focused salon that caters to middle class and upper class women. So this salon is a beautiful environment. It explodes with optimism. That's why the color is yellow. It's very sophisticated as well as fun, full of personality. You get a full experience in here in New Orleans East. Here at Key Salon Coiffeur, our main focus is to give you top-notch service, luxury service, as well as a great experience so that you can continue to return. So thank you, and I hope to see you soon.
What about the Della project? Is that something that's going to be upcoming?
Yes, and can I go back to one of your questions? You had mentioned someone. I have not seen a biopic about Oprah. I would be intrigued to really write about her upbringing and where she is now. I think, it's a powerful force, a movement. I would be interested. But yes, Della is something I'm working on. I can only talk about it just a little bit, only because we're going into production in January, but a really great story about another amazing Black woman who's not famous. Her name is Della, and she was a woman who she's a real character in Louisville, Kentucky, who would help protect Black women, or help protect all women, regardless of color or station, by day, but by night she was part of the mafia. So she was kind of a Robin Hood in that anything she did had a reason, and it was for good. So it was an amazing story, and she's a phenomenal character. So I'm just incredibly excited about that project coming up. So.
How has your experience also been, obviously as an African-American female in the media world? It seems like it's male dominated. Correct me if I'm wrong. How is it as a Black woman in this field? Like, how do you navigate? How do you get your stories out there?
I credit being raised in the South and being told no every day. No is what you're going to hear more than yes. And learning to pivot has been my greatest strength. And I would say as Black women, I share this strength with millions of Black women, that we get told no, we get doors shut in our face, we get called names, we get called ugly, we get called beautiful, we get called a myriad of things. We get back up, we dust ourselves off. We know we have no other choice. So pivoting has been my greatest strength. And to make sure that I got the stories out, I would, for instance, I was 17, 18, 19 years old. And I did my first play where I was touring. My parents took their paychecks and paid for the first play. And I think I had 200 people at that play. And to pay. And then the next one, I just, get money from local businesses. I remember one time being like 22 and going into a basement of a funeral home, and the owner of the funeral home gave me $500 to put his funeral home in the program. And there's like caskets across the hall, and quite a scary scene. But being determined and saying, you know what, if I have to go to 10 people with $500 pages in the program, then that's what I'll do to pay for this play. And so just being inventive. I mean, I had no money at that time. I just was $0. And all I had was a script and a dream. And that's it. And I just went out there and I believed that people were going to give me money to get it done. And they did. And it was like that for a very long time until me and my business partner co-own a healthcare consulting firm. So I'm able to finance some of these projects along with my business partner, Philip Robinson. But before that, I was just fighting. I was just meeting with salon owners, white, Black, different people of all races would contribute so that I could put the plays on.
That's awesome. So just thinking of creators now, Oprah, first of all, just back to your answer, I'm obsessed with Oprah Winfrey too.
Yeah.
And just mentioning Oprah just solidifies how important it is to see us on film. Oprah Winfrey, like I was telling people, like when I was a kid, when her show came on, it was like, who is this? And I know like YouTube shows like a lot of her old episodes. Now I'm 44 now. I can recall every single one of those Oprah episodes. And I told someone, I'm like, I'm trying to remember what time did I get out of school, because I'm like, how did I even have time? Because to my knowledge, she came on at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, 4:00 in some cities. Yeah.
But I know all those episodes, and that's how important she always was for me,
Thank God for her, right? As Black women to see that, I mean, and that's why it's so important for people like you and for me to be out here, because some little girl's watching us, and they're thinking the same thing we thought when we were watching Oprah, and so that's really the fuel that keeps me going, is that, because otherwise, I mean, who knows, but I know that someone's watching. I don't know who they are, but somebody's going to be talking about, us like we're talking about her.
Right,
awesome.
Right. She just means so much, and I just think that she definitely deserves all the flowers, because she set a staple. And I feel like some people, I don't think they realize the doors that she's opened for a lot of us and all the work that she's done. So I just always, get giddy about Oprah too.
I mean, I just adore her. I mean, to a sense, she sacrificed her life for us from the standpoint of Blackness. She's not really able to be having a personal life because she understands her responsibility. And she put the responsibility before probably anything that she would want, So amazing woman.
Oh, yes.
Biopic about Oprah.
Would be amazing. So women I think of, just some other people that I admire, Issa Rae, who another person, I refer to her as the blueprint. Ava DuVernay.
She's a rock star. Right. Another rock star.
So women like that, and Shonda Rhimes, rock star. Vision. So when I think of people like that, what's your opinion, because it's great that we have these people, but what's your advice too on like the next upcoming Issa or Ava, who maybe they just started film school, or they could just be fresh out of high school, but they have these great stories and
I don't know.
Your mind. What's your advice on to get into this field and how to navigate and how to get your voice heard, and just what would you say to that young person?
I would say that everything is available to you. And that's the biggest thing is, in my mind, when I was their age, is I didn't know if it was available to me. So I had to kind of like create my own, blaze my own trails. But now it's opened up. It is available to you. They're looking for you. They're seeking you out. Hollywood is wanting to hear Black voices. Hollywood is wanting to hear Black stories. It's very similar to me in the Harlem Renaissance now, in that people are really wanting to hear what are our top writers, where are top, or where are the emerging writers, where are the diamonds in the rough? They're wanting to find new voices. And so if you have a story, my thing is to don't wait, get it made with your iPhone. Be inventive. Like I told you about the plays where I would go and get like $500 or $250 20 times. Whatever I had to do a play, I would do it. Be creative. You can get it done. People are winning awards with their iPhones and winning festivals with their iPhones. Get it done, get it made. Believe it's supposed to be you. That is my biggest thing.
And it's funny that you mentioned with the iPhone, because that brings me back. It just makes me think of how Issa Rae got started with this adventure for Black girl. Just those small mini episodes, that are still hilarious now. Like practically
still hilarious. And she's so humble and down to earth. I had a chance to hear her speak at Sundance 2020. And she was just so down to earth. Like she really was like the person you'd go out to eat with. Like, so you gonna meet me tonight at 7 o'clock? Yeah, okay, what time? I mean, like, she was just really down to earth. She didn't have any airs or anything like that. Just a great person. And so, that let me know this is just a normal Black woman, just phenomenal, normal Black woman. And she did something, she took a chance and she put it up on YouTube. And look what happened.
Phenomenal. So obviously just mentioning how you started off with your plays and getting funding and putting on your shows, things like that. One other thing that we talk about on the show a lot is actually self-love, and how self-love, no matter what your dream and goal is, self-love does fuel a person to pursue their dreams. How important is it for you, especially as a Black woman? That's another one of the reasons why I love to talk about self-love so much, is because Black women in general, we need as much love as possible, whether that love is depicted in music or film, whatever, in our books. We need that love, because like you said, we are beautiful women. And because like you said, we are beautiful women. And that's one of the reasons why I use the term queen, not because I feel like that term is thrown around a lot, but I always think of queens and kings back to just royalty, just in our history.
Yes.
We come from greatness.
Yes.
So how important is it for you? Like I said, we need that love. So how important is it for you, just self-love in general, to become the next Ava, to become the next Issa? How important is it to just have that self-love so we can show our greatness, especially in the media world?
It's just so pivotal. And I think the biggest thing is just, just embracing where you are. If you're that person and you live in Oregon or you live in South Carolina, understand that there's something for you being from South Carolina that only you can create. I think this was set in New York, I want to say. But just creating the areas, wherever it is you live. Me, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Originally, I live in Las Vegas now, not too far from LA. I go back and forth, but I embrace that I'm from Kentucky. I don't try to say I'm from LA or Las Vegas. I am originally from Louisville, Kentucky, because I know that sets me apart from everyone else. So that self-love and just loving who you are, where you're from, your story, like you said about New Orleans, that's an amazing story. I think Letticia is from New Orleans as well. Yeah. So, and she always talks about that. So just embracing that, where you're from and what you're, who you are, and just making you special. And, I'm just a Southern girl. I tell people all the time, I'm just a Southern girl. If I ever change, I want someone to shoot me. I don't want to change. I want to just be down to earth. And, I would be honored to be the next Ava DuVernay, or, and will embrace me along the way and try to be the best version of me I can, so that I can help to inspire somebody, and they can, as they go above me,
Well, I definitely just want to thank you as someone that loves media, because we need people like you. We need people
Thank you.
We need people like Ava, because as I've mentioned in the past, we are the creators of our blueprint.
Yes.
We're the architects of our blueprint. In order for us to be depicted in a way that correctly portrays us, we're the only ones that can put that story out there.
Absolutely. We have to. And I remember this really odd story. My mother used to take me to look at houses, brand new houses, and they would be empty, obviously, but $1 million houses. She would walk me through. She wanted me to understand the importance of dreaming. And this particular week, it was like a home show weekend. And there was a white, I'm assuming he was a real estate agent, I don't know. But I was maybe 15, and I was looking at this house, and I said out loud, one day I'm gonna have a house like this. And he said to me, what are you gonna do, win the lottery? And I said, no, I'm gonna earn it. And I never have found that guy again, but I said to myself, that's fuel for me. So I think Black women using those kinds of underestimations as, because I already knew who we were. And I already knew I was gonna have a house like that. And I already knew I was gonna have a life beyond. But you using any negativity towards us and his devaluation of Black women, and anyone's devaluation of Black women, is fuel to your success. Very important.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for such an amazing conversation. Once again, like I said, I definitely thank you. We need positive stories about us.
Thank you.
I love history too. There's so many amazing Black women, historic figures, some that are still here as we discussed, and some that have passed on, and their stories needs to be put on film as well. So
that's right.
Writers like you, creators like you, there can never be enough, because as I said, that's the only way to get our stories out there. It's by us. So,
wow, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be on your program. Absolutely sensational interview. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. Before we end everything, though, tell everyone how they can contact you, how they can find you on social media, and if you have any dates with some of your projects, please share them with us.
Absolutely. You can find me at Ericka Nicole Malone, Instagram, or www.ericcanicolemalone.com. Again, that's Ericka Nicole Malone. And I plan to have upcoming presentation of Remember Me this fall. It will be announced soon. Dreams from the Edge is on film festivals around the world right now. We're already winning awards for those films. So just really excited about what's coming, and to stay on my Instagram for more information.
Awesome. Thank you again so much. Everyone that listens or watches this program, please be sure to go ahead and follow Ericka. She has some amazing work that is coming up. And once again, the only way to tell our stories is by us. And she's done a great job of just having that mindset to put our stories out there, and especially the depiction of Black women, because we truly are descendants from royalty, and we have great stories that deserve to be heard. So
Amen.
Thank you so much, and thank you guys for the chat. You guys can tune into www.theqchat.com to catch this episode and many more. So thank you guys, and don't forget to go love yourself.